It is the worst industrial disaster in history, an unprecedented disaster, and still, 30 years afterwards, many say, without any real justice for the victims. It is the 3rd of December 1984, during the night, while the Indian city of Bhopal is asleep. Right in the middle of huge slums, a pesticide factory operated by Union Carbide is working on go-slow after an incident just a few weeks before. At the end of the day, a large amount of water flows into a chemical storage tank, the reaction causing pressure to mount without any of the staff taking action. While the inhabitants of the city sleep, it is already too late. An invisible but deadly cloud spreads over an area of 25 square kilometres, a cloud formed of the most dangerous industrial chemical gas. Hundreds of thousands of people are caught in the trap, the whole city that night suffocating. Officially, about 4,000 people lost their lives, but according to victims' associations, the death toll was much higher. Some even say 25,000 killed and 300,000 sick. Well, in Bhopal itself, 30 years after the accident, it will never be forgotten. Julian Fouché and Mandakini Gallo revisit Bhopal.
This is barely 200 meters away from the factory where the gas leaked that night. Often I wonder why this happened to us. Why don't things like this happen in other countries? Why did they do this to us? This statue pays tribute to victims of the gas tragedy. On the plaque it says, "We don't want another Hiroshima or Bhopal. We just want to live."
Bhopal wants to forget. The city remains haunted by her ghosts, but she wants to turn the page, show that she has woken from the nightmare and begun a new, better chapter. 30 years after the worst industrial disaster in history, Bhopal, a tiny city in central India, has become a metropolis like no other. Indians call it the City of Lakes, the city that dazzles with its many diamond mines. It's also a city that symbolizes India's growing economic development, a city with 500,000 people and a flourishing tourism industry. Today, it's considered one of the most livable cities in the country. T.R. Chauhan was born in Bhopal, and he never left. He was an engineer at the plant that placed the city at the center of the global chemical industry, and later became his worst nightmare.
Today the factory is closed, but I was here when it opened, and I saw the world's worst industrial disaster here. Sometimes I just want to cry.
The factory still stands, a gaping wound in the heart of Bhopal. At the time, it manufactured 7, a powerful pesticide that fueled a green revolution for the farmers in the region. On the night of 2nd and 3rd December 1984, it killed over 2,000 people. In the years to come, it would claim 25,000 lives.
On that night, the 610 tank vent line was leaking. The tank was not holding pressure. The person who were operating the plant, they are not properly trained. So, and the instrument that indicating about the temperature was faulty since the startup of the plant. So nobody was aware about the contamination into the tank. That is due to faulty design.
At midnight, the valve in tank number 610 exploded. 40 tons of highly toxic chemicals escaped and were carried by the wind across the city. 30 years later, 450 tons of hazardous waste still lie forgotten.
And after 30 years passed, you can see still the mercury, pure mercury is lying on the floor, on the first floor, on the ground, and this is process sewer line. Lot of mercury is there, and in rainy season it is going to the through water stream and polluting the underground water.
At the foot of the plant lies this densely populated slum. 35,000 people here are poisoned each day by forgotten chemical residue. To this day, Union Carbide continues to deny any responsibility in the accident. The site has never been decontaminated. Instead, it has become a playground.
Can't you smell the toxins here?
Yes, we can.
So then why do you play in this dangerous place?
It's the only park near my house. I live right there.
You don't live here. You live beyond the wall. This is not a playground.
We know something happened here 30 years ago. Some gas leaked. A lot of people died. But we weren't even born. It's true sometimes after playing here we feel ill, we can't breathe properly, and we feel very exhausted. But nobody's told me anything about this place.
Chauhan wants to show us where the company dumped its toxic waste. The chemicals may be invisible, but a foul odor hangs over the site.
This is benzene hexachloride. It's a highly dangerous chemical, and it's best you don't stand here for too long. You'll feel dizzy and maybe even faint. This is where they used to dump the chemicals. It's all chemicals here, the entire area. They pollute the underground water supply here, and in rainy season, if you smell the water that is supplied in the neighborhoods close by, it smells the same as these chemicals.
Those who survived the gas leak continue to be poisoned by contaminated water. The underground water in areas like this contains 40 times more chemical content than the acceptable limit.
The problem is that because of the chemicals, the water that we get at home is bad. So everyone comes here to fill clean water. It's bad. We get rashes and boils on our bodies when we use it. It itches. The water is okay to wash clothes, but drinking water we get from here.
This is the only filtered water pump in the area. The people here had to wait over 27 years before the Indian government finally installed this system. Since then, every morning a crowd gathers here. All of them are waiting to grab a little bit of the precious liquid that flows only for 1 hour daily.
Come now, you've already filled 3-4 pots. Let me at least fill 1.
There has been no formal research, but NGOs estimate that 25,000 people still suffer from the effects of contaminated water. Among them, thousands of children. Even 30 years later, the damage caused by the gas still dictates the destiny of future generations. Since the accident, the infant mortality rate in the city has increased by 300%. Congenital birth disorders are 7 times higher here than in other parts of India. – 9 a.m. in the slum, and it's time for 8-year-old Zoya to go to school. Zoya suffers from cerebral palsy, a common disorder in the city. For children like Zoya and their parents, the only hope comes in the form of this rehabilitation center run by the tireless activist Rashida B.
Sadis, come on child, look at me. Carry him inside, please.
Rashida lost 6 members of her family in the gas leak. Since then, she has dedicated her life towards caring for Bhopal's 2nd and 3rd generation victims.
Now, can he hold his neck straight?
Yes.
Can he sit?
No, he keeps falling down on his side.
And does he speak?
Just 2 words. Give and mama.
In 2004, Rashida received the Goldman Environment Prize in recognition of her fight against Dow Chemicals. The award came with a grant of 110,000 euros, a sum which she used to set up this rehabilitation center and to continue gathering evidence of the massive poisoning.
We tested the milk of 20 new mothers and found traces of mercury in 19 of them. So what hope can there be for children who were poisoned not just in the womb, but also through their mother's milk?
Today, over 100 children attend the center. For them, formal education is a distant dream. First, they have to learn how to walk and to communicate. And the center also makes their parents feel less isolated.
Why haven't you taken her to the hospital?
Alia's doctors believe the 10-year-old won't survive much longer.
Alia, stay still, don't move.
But Rashida refuses to give up.
Physiotherapy is the only option for her now. There's no medicine that will work. Come on, stand up on your own. Very good.
In recent weeks, Alia has started walking again. It's the kind of small miracle that keeps Rashida going. In the next room, Suraj, one of the most severe cases at the center, is receiving physiotherapy. It's hard to believe that this frail-looking boy is 18 years old. Despite 10 years of extensive treatment, he still can't sit up on his own. Like all mothers here, Kesar Bai too is fighting an unknown enemy.
I don't understand what's wrong with him. The doctors have not explained things to me properly. They just say that there's no treatment and that kids like him will never grow properly.
In another life, this would be the year that Suraj gets his driving license. But today, like every other day, Kesar Bai carries him home in her arms. She can't afford to buy him a wheelchair, not on the 10 euros she receives from the government every month. In this neighborhood, the scars of the tragedy still exist. But these old women don't like to talk about the past. They say that they will never leave Bhopal. For them, it has become a city where anything is possible.
Life goes on here. We don't want to constantly live in the past. Now I want to be happy and think about my grandchildren. They have good jobs here, important positions.
And she has good reason to hope. Bhopal is faring well. The city's double-digit growth has made Madhya Pradesh, the state it lies in, one of the most prosperous in the country. Bhopal is no longer the cursed city of India, but she hasn't forgotten her martyrs. Later that day, Rashida takes us to the Muslim cemetery in the city. It's the first time in 3 decades that she has visited the burial ground.
Where are they?
Right here, on this side.
The caretaker of the graveyard leads Rashida to a secluded corner of the cemetery at the end of a driveway.
They're over here, actually, all of them.
All these graves are filled with victims from the gas. Each grave has at least 6-7 people. They're all buried here.
Hundreds of graves as far as the eye can see. Most of them are unmarked.
I feel bad that I wasn't able to do anything for these people. 30 years later, we still haven't won the fight for their surviving family members. How can I face them today? I still have to bring them justice. The day that happens, I'll come here and speak to those who died and tell them that we've won, that we've not forgotten their deaths. Union Carbide and Dow Chemicals are still not held responsible. Never again should there be another Bhopal or another graveyard like this full of innocent people.
भोपाल और ना हो इसके लिए कोशिश है कि अब कोई ऐसी कब्रिस्तान ना बने बेगुनाहों से.
Following a complex game of mergers and acquisitions, and creation of subsidiaries, Union Carbide no longer exists. For 30 long years, victims in Bhopal demanded the extradition of Warren Anderson, the former CEO of Union Carbide. The 92-year-old American citizen died 13,000 kilometers away in Florida in September.
Julian Fouché and Mandakini Gallo revisiting Bhopal. Well, that is today's Revisited. You can watch it again, of course, and the other editions on our website. That's at france24.com. Thanks for watching.